Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Odetta, and if it's your first time in this channel, you are most welcome to the family. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support, for your consistency. I really do appreciate it. And without not going further, please would like to remind you to please subscribe, share and like this video. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video. So today we are here to talk about a topic, and that is finding the one. And I think for me I thought about this topic, and it's really important. And yes, finding the one, or the one finding you, is a serious thing, because most times we make mistakes while doing that. But before I go to the real source, I want you to ask yourself, yes, that are you the one for yourself? Because most of the times we are so focused in finding the one and we forget ourselves. Have you found yourself? Do you know your identity? Do you know who you are? Your self-worth. Are you confident enough? Are you self-secure? Because it's good to know those things, and it's good to know that, because the right time for you to actually find yourself is when you're alone, single in your space. Because when someone comes into your life, it changes the whole game. That becomes another thing altogether. But to leave that aside, I, for one, growing up, I really knew that was the one for me. That's what I grew up knowing. There's that one guy that God has created and in this world, and is for you. And yes, it is true, but we can disagree to agree that to some extent it's not. Because growing up, you did the first guy and you're like, oh, first cut is the deepest, this is my guy. And then boom, he breaks your heart. And first cut's really hard. And then you did the second one, I was like, no, this time he's the one. And the same thing is cheating. And you fail now to understand what's going on. And then it hits you like, there is nothing like the one. So to leave that aside, I just wanted to actually just bring the fact to the table that there's nothing like the one. But I think, on my own opinion, that God has empowered us, to be able to choose, our own pattern, make your own opinion, and, select who you want to be with. He has given us that opportunity. And not to say that God is going to just drop you there and be like, okay, choose whoever you want. No, he's going to guide you. He's going to lead you through. He's going to give you the spirit of discernment. But that only happens when you let him in. Because most times, people are like, oh, okay, I think God just doesn't want to be blamed, when things go sour. And I know that people have had the voice of God telling them that don't choose that person. That's not the right person. And, you insist, on the person that you want to be with. But there's just so much unnecessary pressure on finding the one. And in most cases, when you journey through, maybe your single life and maybe start dating and you get married, the person you marry becomes the one for you. Though I can also talk for, not even actually, I won't correct that, the one for you, the right one. We are looking at the right one now for you, because it's finding just the one and finding the right person. But also there are people who are in a situation whereby, yes, you married your partner and God took them back, and then maybe you remarry. If you focus on the other person being the one for you, that means you're not going to even be able to love the person that God has given you again. I've had this saying several times that there are people, there are different persons in our lives. There are people who come for a season, there's a reason, and there are those who come for a lifetime. And it's just good to be open-minded, in that when God gives you your person, that person becomes your person, and you make the best use of that. But society, now is defining, finding the one based on other things like feelings, chemistry, emotions, which I'm not saying are bad, but I feel like depending on feelings and emotions more than commitment is a wrong thing. Because feelings, disappear, feelings die, feelings fade away, emotions come and go, they change. It's not a good thing, when trying to look for a life partner. But I think we need to focus more on the commitment side. When you meet someone for the first time and you talk to them, you can tell someone is ready to commit and someone is whining on feelings. So it's very important to note that commitment is something that keeps a relationship for a long run, because it's something you can stand on. It's something that even when things go worse or south, when someone is not really, giving and not loving, I don't know, like when people are hard and you're married and they're committed to you, they stay committed. But feelings, when trials and tribulation come, feelings are going to disappear and they will leave you hanging. So when you're trying to find someone, just based on your commitment, their commitment to you, because someone feels a certain way about you doesn't mean you have to marry that person. If their feeling was like, oh my God, it feels good being with you, you look good, I feel like you feel like you're going to give me like cute kids, and then you don't, they will trash you. And then the other thing I want to talk about is that let's just stop thinking of the one and focus on the bigger picture, the one, and that is God. God is the ultimate, and He is the only one who is going to reveal to you your identity and your purpose. Because when you know your identity, that means you know who to take with you, and if you know who to take with you, then you will know which direction to take. For some reason, He will guide you. He'll help you avoid the wrong decisions and take you through. Because if you don't know your identity, you might end up mixing up with the wrong crowd, and that is not going to help you. And yet, in actual sense, identity, let's say if you're Christian, if you identify as a Christian, you know the principles, the promises of God over your life. Those are the things that you use, to anchor you, to lead you through this journey of trying to search for the right person. So when you know your identity, then you know your purpose. And when you know your purpose, you're going to choose a partner based on purpose, not just randomly. You will understand what marriage is. It's kingdom. So why am I bringing this person into my life? Why am I trying to court this person? Why am I trying to, unite with this person? There is purpose in everything that you do. So the other thing is, instead of still thinking of the one, I'm looking for the one, focus on the will of God for your life. Because if you are pursuing the will of God for your life, then you are going to be very conscious of every decision that you make, even when you're trying to start a relationship or try to pursue someone. You'll ask yourself questions like, if I get into this relationship, is it going to complement the will of God for my life, or is it going to contradict? Is it going to bring life to me or death? Is it going to give back to me or take from me? Is it going to affect my faith, my salvation? You'll be conscious of those things, and that alone is going to help you make the right decision. So the will of God is very important when pursued, because it will direct you to the right path. And the right reason, for all the right reasons, there's so many good reasons for choosing. You can best when choosing a partner. As for me, there were some non-negotiables for me, when I was trying to choose my partner. And one of the things was like shared faith. I always wanted a man who loved God. And I knew for sure, I'm not saying all men who love God are like perfect, or like, we all have things going on in our lives. But a guy who acknowledges God is something that I wanted. And I met my husband in church. We fellowshiped together, and me that made it so easy for me. But also, when you're with someone who shares the same faith with you, I'm talking about the fact that you're with someone you can pray with, go through spiritual warfare with, because when you talk about marriage, there are going to be attacks, there are going to be tribulations. You want to be with someone who's going to stick with you, someone, if there's a problem, who will not run to the world but run to the word of God. Someone, when the devil is trying to divide you, who will actually struggle, to make sure that you guys are together. And when they see a problem, they see the devil is attack, but not blaming. It's everything. And when someone is committed to God, they're committed to you. When they're submitted to God, it's so easy for them to submit to you. And then the other thing I want to talk about is, when choosing a partner, try to focus on the character traits than you focus on the physical traits. Because today in our generation, it's the fact that we focus more on the physical, on the physical more than we focus about the character. Character literally comes last, And, girls are getting botched, they have silicone, there's just makeup, there's everything. It's good to look good, but that alone is not going to help you. If a guy is looking good, smart, always on a tie, it doesn't make him the right partner. We have to focus more on the character traits. How does he treat you? How does he treat people around you? How does he resolve issues, if they came around? How does he respond to, tough, situations? His character, his relationship with God. Those are things you need to focus on, internal things, because those are things that cannot be hidden. If someone is pretending, it will show that, the person is pretending. So let's try to focus on those things. Personally, when I met my husband, oh my God, like my husband was the kind of guy, he would cook, he would do all the things, and then he was graceful, that's what I can say. And I was shocked that even men like him exist. Yeah, I just say that. But yes, I really, really loved who he was as a person internally so much. Of course, it's cute. I'm not saying don't go and get someone who really doesn't, physical appearance really matters, but don't make it like the number one, because the truth of the matter is, the inward can actually beautify the outward. But if someone is cute from the face and they're rotten inside, no one wants to be around those people. So you have to just make sure. We've seen situations where guys have beautiful women, everyone's like, oh, chanting, your wife is beautiful, but the guy will be like, guys, she is pretty. All the in-laws are like, she is pretty, but she has bad manners, she has rotten manners, she's not good, she's mean, she's this, and everyone is always away from her. She's there pretty, but she doesn't have people around her. Whereas you have a very very simple beauty, beautiful, calm, beautiful heart woman, and loved by husband, loved by everyone. What would you want? Because even if you don't look good physically, because you're beautiful inside, it kind of overshadows the outer appearance. And then the other thing that I think we need to focus when choosing a partner is also consistency, because someone who is consistent with their character, consistent with the way they, communication, just the way they do things, they're not this today and tomorrow that, it's very important. For one, consistency for me worked in a way that my husband was so consistent. When he came and was like, girl, I like you, I was like, yo, nah. But he was consistent because he knew what he wanted as a man. And women, we are supposed to be pursued. So he kept on pursuing me, and he was consistent with character. Even when I was being weird and mean to him and all that, he stayed consistent. He said the same things over and over again. He wasn't changing, first year, second year. That was who he is. Character-wise, he was the same person, his mindset when he communicated, you see, the same flow of things. And then I realized, yes, this is nice. This man likes me when I'm being mean and even when I'm good. He doesn't change. He doesn't raise his voice just anyhow and all that. His cool is his cool, and That is one thing you really need to focus. No, the person is consistent. Make sure they're consistent. And then also find someone who compliments you. And I want to talk about that. Let me say, now, for you to find someone who compliments you, you have to ensure that you as a person, you have an identity. You know who you are. So I'm Christian. I love God, and this is who I am. You have a character trait, and you have a personality, and it has to be good for you to attract someone like you. Someone who shares the same values with you, the same beliefs with you. So you cannot say you're just going to be, whatever, drink and do whatever, do whatever you want and be like, oh, I want a church guy. No, you're going, if you're in a bar every time, you're going to attract a guy who's in a bar all the time. If you're in church, you're going to do the same. So you work on yourself for you to be able to attract a person who will complement who you are as a person. You get? So, because that is, you reap what you sow. Like, the seed you plant is a seed, is exactly what germinates, from what you've put on the ground. So it really matters that you know your identity, so that you can attract that compliments you. And after being married, I've realized that most times we're so mistaken. The things that we put in a front list, this is what I want of my guy, this is what I want, this is, we're writing lists always. I mean, when you get married, those are like the last things you want, because they're not really beneficial to the relationship. When we talk about growing the relationship, like to strong capacity, you realize most of the things we women and maybe even men really lay down on their list don't really matter, because with marriage it starts with emotions, but then with time it becomes intentionality. You have to be intentional about everything. So don't let your emotions play you for the short time that you guys are going to be dating and all that, because when you get into the marriage, you're supposed to be intentional. So you have to prepare your mind, you have to build yourself to be ready to be intentional in your marriage. And finally, I just want to talk about the fact that you should be able to wait. Don't hurry, don't rush, don't papa, like, keep your cool. Don't rush for marriage. Don't rush to date someone when you are not ready, because people pretend. So if you're going to just say this guy show a little bit of good, and then you're like jumping into the relationship, people change. So work on yourself, build yourself to be able to walk through storms and actually come back out steady, walk through fire and not get burned. Because yes, when you transgress to the setting of marriage, things change. They say most times that we grow with our partners. So as we grow, people change, but some change for good, some change for bad. That's why you have to really, really ensure that you are making the right decisions and that God is leading you, that God has given you discernment, God has opened your eyes. But only that happens when you entrust God your entire being, and it's good to know that there are good people in this life. And don't accept someone to tell you that all men are the same. No, all women are the same. No, they are really, really good people in this world. But as I'm closing, don't settle for what is not God's standard for you. Don't settle for what is not God's standard for you. The only thing is that some of us are not pursuing His will enough to know what our standard is. We are not reading His word to know His standard. We are not committed. We are not praying. Because just like a relationship needs commitment, even a relationship with God needs commitment. You read the Bible, you understand, you meditate Him. Even this relationship, you commit to knowing this person, you commit to communicating, you commit to asking questions. Ask all the questions. Because when people talk, you actually hear something that you're like, wait a minute. So make sure you're so committed and you focus in understanding what is God's standard for you, and then that is where you start from. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have loved this video, please don't forget to like. Please click on the like button, subscribe to this channel, and be family if you've not, and then share to your family, friends, and also comment below. I want to know your opinion and your mind on this topic. I have always read other people's comments when I'm watching their videos, and you really find that some people are adding their own experience, and it's so beautiful. So guys, I love you with the love of Christ. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, bye.